conversation that has come up frequently around the table in the peer advisory groups is quite honestly some frustration in how to attract millennials to the workplace and how to keep millennials. And kind of the ongoing joke is, well, you get a ping pong table or a smoothie machine and millennials are going to want to stay in your organization. Of course, that's not the case. It's a little more complicated than that. Millennials are looking for purpose. They're looking to have not necessarily what baby boomers would call a work-life balance, but actually an integrated life and work situation where it all flows together. And so beyond the ping pong table just means let's look deeper. Let's make sure that we connect to what's the why for our organization, what's the deeper purpose in what we're creating and what we're making. How do we actually help employees to be engaged, help them to reach their life goals? I know for some baby boomers this can be frustrating, and with a team to walk through this, with a team to brainstorm and collaborate like we have, in an advisory board, I will say that I've seen huge progress. I have seen companies actually bring these principles to life and afterward feel appreciative that the millennials have brought this to the workplace, feel appreciative that it's a real, sustainable, lasting change in an organization that all generations end up appreciating. It's important for business leaders to understand millennials because they are inevitable. There's a huge number of them that are coming into the workforce as the boomers start to retire. And it's critical to really understand the motivation, understand what will attract them to your organization, what will keep them into your organization. As you know, turnover is extremely expensive. Being in denial is extremely expensive. So get involved with Vistage or a peer advisory group, coaching, or read books. Do something to help you get out of this sort of feeling like you can work around this change that's coming. The change is coming. It's underway. Getting on board with it and using it to up-level your organization is a great thing. There's great outcomes can come from that. I have two daughters that are, one that's just entering the workforce and one that's been in the workforce for a couple of years. What they tell me about what motivates them versus what motivated me going into the workplace is interesting. They're looking for a life and work integration that, quite honestly, I could not have expected when I was entering the workforce. And it's something that they're not willing to settle for less than having the ability to work and play somewhat on their schedule. And I think the myth around that is that they don't bring huge value, or the myth is that maybe they're not hardworking or that they're not going to contribute in the same way that the baby boomers have contributed. And I haven't seen that to be the case. What I've seen to be the case is that for the right cause, the right purpose, the right team, they will work on the weekends, they will work on off hours, they will text and call customers when it's not within the 9-to-5 boundaries because they like to look at all of it holistically. Part of their social life is through their workplace. Part of their travel plans often tie into work plans. My daughter is in Paris right now. She's visiting one of her clients while she's there. She's also going to play for 3 days. She's also on her laptop 4 hours a day. So it's a whole different paradigm, and it can work if we're not closed-minded to it and if we're open to facilitating that type of shift in our thinking and in our organizations. The other thing that's really key around this, and I love this phrase, accountability before flexibility. If you become very flexible in your organization around work hours and around this sort of work-life integration, and you don't have good accountability and you don't have good delegation skills and you don't have deliverables, it can become a big mess. It can become a disaster. And then you get to say, see, I told you, it doesn't work. But if you have accountability before flexibility, it can work and it can lead to great outcomes. So get with a team that can help you to figure that out, or a coach that can help you understand how to put that together. And then I think millennials will be a great part of your workforce. In order to build a culture that millennials are going to be attracted to, and quite frankly, any generation is going to be attracted to, it really takes some stepping back and, first of all, taking stock of where things are today. That can be difficult, but the starting point is necessary to understand. The end point of where you want to end up is necessary to understand, and then between the two you have a gap. So how do we fill the gap between where we are today and where we want to be? What I've done in the past is I've gone into organizations, I've sat with the complete team, we've spent a day together saying, really, where is our culture today? What words describe our culture? What stories describe our culture? How do we do things around here? And we paint a picture that may or may not be ideal. Oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes there are a lot of gaps and things that are missing. But when there's trust in the room, we can speak to what's really going on. Then we spend some time saying, if you were working in an organization where you loved the culture, or it was something that you showed up for fully engaged, what does that look like? What does that feel like? How do we create that? And then we start to realize between the two, there's an action plan that we can put in place. And I've taken companies through that action plan, gotten teams involved in actually making it happen, and the results are phenomenal. It can be really exciting. There's tons of books. We've had a speaker come into our Vistage group, Dr. Gustavo Grzinski, who speaks on this. He's on YouTube, he's on TED Talks. You can watch his videos talking about culture. He says culture trumps everything. Culture eats strategy. I mean, it is the number one job of a leadership team and a CEO. There's also books. Double Double is one that I like a lot. Talks about culture, very practical. Cameron Harold came and spoke to a Vistage executive summit to 600 local CEOs here in Orange County about how to take this from aspirational to reality. And the results that he talks about are phenomenal. So it's a really exciting project to take on. One that I think confuses leaders and CEOs to some degree because it seems very non-linear. But when you understand that there are steps and processes that can be put into place, and there are ways to measure it, and there are desirable outcomes, it's an exciting project. So one of the important things to know about how millennials look for organizations that they want to be involved in is to understand that they are making a choice of some place that they will show up on a daily basis, feel passionate about, feel engaged with, feel like they're a part of a team, feel like there's people there that care about them. My younger daughter just graduated from USC. She's got a master's in organizational psychology. She wants to move to New York and is looking for a job right now. So I asked her, I said, how are you going about finding a job in New York? She said, I'm not looking for a job, Mom. I'm looking for a company where I want to be a part of their team. So she's literally doing research on organizations in New York that have an environment that she wants to be a part of every day. I have 30 companies that I work with on a monthly basis through my Vistage groups, through my peer advisory boards, through my coaching. Of those 30 companies, 4 of them are named Orange County Best Places to Work. Those organizations are receiving more applications than organizations that don't have those designations, because millennials will go out and seek those titles, and then they want to work there. They want to be on those teams. So those types of things are important, and working with a group, a coach, a team can help you understand what are the actual steps I can take to get there.